Hello everyone! In today's video, we're diving into a story that feels both surreal and unsettling. A moment where comedy, tragedy, legacy, and cultural change collide. Because Jay Leno, the man millions grew up watching as the lighthearted late-night host, cracking jokes about presidents, pop culture, and celebrity mishaps, has unexpectedly become the bearer of news so grim, so emotionally heavy, and so socially revealing that it raises the question: how did one of America's most iconic comedians become the messenger for some of the darkest developments happening behind the curtain of Hollywood and beyond? For decades, Jay Leno was the safe face of mainstream entertainment, the man whose greatest controversies were monologue punchlines or internal NBC feuds. But now, in an age where the entertainment world seems to be unraveling in real time, amid scandals, sudden deaths, legal implosions, massive lawsuits, collapsing institutions, tech-driven chaos, and a public increasingly distrustful of traditional media, Leno has stepped into an unlikely new phase of his career, becoming an accidental whistleblower, a reluctant truth-teller, and at times, the only figure willing to address the uncomfortable realities everyone else seems too scared, too controlled, or too compromised to speak on. And what's horrifying isn't simply the content of the news he shares. Stories involving collapsing media empires, systemic failures within Hollywood, the hidden dangers of fame, the financial fragility of once powerful institutions, and the rising health and safety crises impacting celebrities and workers alike. But the fact that someone who once spent his nights making people laugh now feels compelled to confront the growing darkness infecting the entertainment world. The shift began quietly when Leno, recovering from his own series of personal accidents and near-fatal incidents, started speaking more openly about the pressures he saw building around him, the way networks were cutting staff to the bone, the way the streaming wars were draining budgets and destabilizing entire creative industries, the way public figures were increasingly becoming targets of online harassment, stalking, and psychological breakdowns, and the way seemingly glamorous lifestyles masked dangerously unsustainable levels of stress. His new commentary, once dismissed as old-school honesty, soon became prophetic as story after story began exposing the hidden rot beneath Hollywood's polished image. Long-running shows shutting down without warning, networks collapsing under debt, actors facing silent mental health crises, beloved comedians becoming embroiled in controversies, and studios spiraling into lawsuits over negligence, safety failures, and exploitative contracts. Leno, who built his career on clean jokes and reliable routines, suddenly found himself discussing far darker material: tragic accidents on film sets, the rise of AI-generated talent threatening the livelihoods of thousands, abuses buried by corporate PR machines, and an increasingly disconnected Hollywood elite struggling to maintain control as the public grows more skeptical and more vocal. His revelations aren't coming from tabloids, but from decades of first-hand relationships, industry knowledge, and the sense of responsibility that seems to have overtaken him after facing his own mortality. It's as if Leno, having survived fires, crashes, surgeries, and the rapid transformation of the entertainment landscape, decided he would no longer play the silent game that so many of his colleagues still cling to. And as he speaks out, audiences are realizing that the stories he highlights, whether about the death of traditional television, the broken pipeline for young performers, the psychological impact of living online, the industry's terrifying dependence on unstable corporate giants, or the quiet desperation of creatives watching their life's work evaporate, reflect a deeper cultural shift. Hollywood is no longer the dream factory it once pretended to be, and the cracks in its foundation are widening into chasms. Leno's warnings are not theatrical. They're almost paternal, carrying the tone of someone who watched the rise and now sees the fall. Someone who wants viewers to understand that the entertainment world is not just going through turbulence, but something closer to an existential crisis. What makes it horrifying is not that Jay Leno is reporting the news, it's that the news he's reporting is real, systemic, and largely ignored by those who should be addressing it. Executives who value short-term profits over long-term stability, politicians who don't understand the industries they regulate, social platforms incentivizing outrage, and corporations racing to replace human creativity with machines. His unexpected transformation from comedian to cultural commentator. His voice serves as a mirror reflecting the uncomfortable truth that audiences may not want to face. The entertainment world is entering a dangerous new era, and the people we assumed were safe, untouchable, or immune to the chaos are just as vulnerable, just as confused, and just as afraid as the viewers watching from home. In exploring Jay Leno's new role and the disturbing stories he brings to light, we're forced to confront not only the instability of Hollywood, but the instability of the society consuming its products. A world desperate for distraction, yet unwilling to look away from the spectacle of collapse. A world where even the comedians, the figures once tasked with making us forget our fears, are now sounding the alarm bell that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong. And if the people who once told jokes to make us laugh are now telling hard truths to make us pay attention, then perhaps it's time we start listening. Thanks for watching.